Hi everyone, we are live at Metabolic Health Summit 2022. I can't believe I'm even saying that. It's finally here. I'm standing here with our amazing partners at Diet Dr. Andreas. Brett, thank you so much for making this happen. And my co-organizers, Dominic D'Agostino and Dr. Angela Poff here. We could not be more excited to finally be kicking off this conference weekend alongside our official live coverage hosts. We're launching this right now because Diet Doctor is actually going to be doing coverage throughout the weekend. It's going to be action-packed. So in addition to, if you're joining us virtually, you'll be able to watch all the main stage presentations, but you'll also be able to catch live interviews on Facebook, Instagram, on Metabolic Health Summit, and then on Diet Doctor's YouTube. So you won't miss any of the behind-the-scenes actions thanks to these guys right here. Before we dive into this conversation, though, I really want to acknowledge the fact that this has been a long time coming. This conference, we've been fighting for it over the last 2 years, to be totally honest with you, and really put our hearts and souls into it, and it's finally here. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about being back together again.
Yeah. It is so exciting to be back together, just to have everybody in one space, in one room, all the great minds, the researchers, the clinicians, and even just the interested parties to come and ask us questions and to be able to talk to each other and brainstorm together and see about where we're going with low carb, with ketones, with just how we can help people and how we can help further the message and further the science. To get everybody together in one place is so important. I mean, we've learned to do a lot virtually over the past couple of years, but it's clear nothing is as good as doing it in person. So thank you so much for being courageous enough to put this conference on, because as we know, putting conferences on now takes a little extra risk and a little extra courage to do. So we're so glad you did it. And I'm so glad to be able to be your host as we go through all the live interviews and show you so much of the action of what's happening here at MHS. So thank you.
Well, thank you guys. It's not possible without our partners, so we're very, very thankful for that. I know personally I am just so grateful to be standing here right now. It almost feels very surreal. But Angela, how are you feeling in this moment?
Can hardly believe it, honestly. I mean, it has been so long, and it was right before the pandemic started that we were all together here in February 2020 was the last time we were together. And so many things have changed, but so many has not. This field is just exploding. The people, the interest, the research, the science, the clinical progress is amazing. And it's things like MHS that really help propel it forward at light speed. Honestly, the kind of networking and collaborations and communication that you have when you can get all these different minds in the same room is so important, and that's my favorite part of MHS. So I'm just thrilled to be here back together again.
Yeah, likewise. It's the first time in 2.5 years that I'm even able to come to the US. I live in Sweden, so amazing to come here. Very brave to put on a conference after everything that's been going on. I'm really grateful for that, and I think it's so important. Metabolic health, I believe, is the biggest health problem in the world, or lack of metabolic health. It's strongly connected to all the main causes of early death. Heart disease, cancer, dementia, stroke, and the list just goes on. So it's so important, and really brave to put on this conference, and I'm very grateful to be here.
Yeah, if there's one thing that we learned over the last 2 years, I think is that metabolic health is extremely important, and for disease prevention, for disease management, and that's what our conference is all about, right? So we have basic science, we have clinical science, and it'll be about bridging that gap between science, clinical and basic, and also implementation. And our two keynote speakers tonight kind of epitomize that. We have Dr. Jong Roh, who's speaking about basic mechanisms of the ketogenic diet, and we have Dr. Rhonda Patrick, who will really be talking about, bringing the science to the people in a way that they can implement in an actionable format. So just really excited to be part of this. Thank you all for watching, and for those attending virtually or in person.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time, and we've got such an amazing lineup of speakers, including Andreas and Brett here. We're so excited to have you guys presenting while you're going to be running around catching so many different interviews. We've got so many incredible thought leaders here, in addition to our speakers. Brett, share who you're going to be interviewing, those who you know. I know a lot of it's going to be on the fly, but let us know what the plan is.
Yeah, I think that's part of what's going to be so neat about it is we have interviews scheduled and then we're just going to be grabbing people. And, there's so many people. It's amazing who's just walking by, right? Like so many researchers and thought leaders just kind of walking by to be able to interview them. So I got to pull out my phone here to get the whole schedule so I can tell you. I won't tell you the whole schedule because there's a lot. But tell you who some of the people we're interviewing. Sorry. Wow. This was a lot smoother before. Okay. Here we go. So we got, of course, Robert Lustig. He's always a great interview. He's so fiery and has so much passion and information. I love interviewing him. And Colin Champ. And then Allison Hull, who I just met her the other day, and she's another one who is just fiery and has so much information and is so passionate. I can't wait to interview her and get some of her takes. And then Dr. Jamie Seaman, who I've actually been trying to interview for a little while now, so I'm glad we're finally going to be in the same place to get her perspective on, women's health perspective, which is so interesting. And then a really interesting interview is also going to be Glenn Frommer, who's biking a couple thousand miles to raise awareness for polycystic kidney disease. And I'm going to talk with him and Dr. Weems about the use of ketogenic diets for polycystic kidney and just so many emerging fields. And that's just a fraction of the people I'm going to be interviewing. So we have sponsors and vendors, and then, like I said, just off-the-cuff interviews with so many people walking around. And if we're lucky, maybe some of these folks, too, that we'll be able to interview because there's some pretty important people, too. So, yeah, super excited, looking forward to it, and I hope you'll join us for all these interviews.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. There's so much we're going to be offering free of charge just on our social media channels so you can catch all the action. In fact, Glenn is, you mentioned he's biking across the country and actually making a pit stop specifically for Metabolic Health Summit. So that one's going to be pretty cool, I think, on Saturday. You won't want to miss these interviews. And while these are happening throughout the weekend, somehow Brett and Andreas here are going to be speaking on stage in between. Do you want to share a little bit about what you're going to be covering in the talk that you're going to be?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, it's about eating better for metabolic health and really ketogenic diets, obviously very effective, proven, and a lot of people are finding great success with that. Then it's a question, do everybody have to go on a strict keto diet? Other people are finding good success with higher protein approaches, that even if they are slightly higher in carbs. And then, can we take it even further towards flexibility and all the things that bring sort of satiety so that people tend to eat less and feel satisfied with fewer calories. So I'm going to be talking about that. How can we find more flexible approaches so that more people can achieve metabolic health through better eating?
That's great. I mean, you won't want to miss Andreas' talk here. He's the founder of Diet Doctor, so he knows what he's talking about. You guys have done so much great work, and so I have to say thank you both for the incredible work that you do at Diet Doctor, because it's honestly furthered this whole field and made it, more accessible to so many people. So if you don't have a ticket to Metabolic Health Summit, you can get it still and join us virtually if you can't join us in person and watch Andreas' talk. And Dr. Bracher, you are a cardiologist. You're going to be covering some really interesting, actually it pertains to me because I fit within the category that you're going to be talking about, which is hyper-responders. Do you want to share a little bit more?
Sure, yeah. I mean, we know so much about the benefits of low-carb and ketogenic diets, but there's still that one little concern, which is what about the LDL? So my talk is really going to be trying to help put that into perspective because there is so much concern and maybe knee-jerk reaction about how to respond to it. So my talk is going to be about the science of what happens with lipids on a ketogenic diet, but also the practical aspect of how should we evaluate this and how and when should we intervene on it, just to give maybe a different framework. If you're an individual who it pertains to you individually, or if you're a clinician who sees patients like this and aren't completely comfortable with it, the idea is to get people more comfortable with it, to get people in the mindset for how to evaluate it appropriately, and because it's a little bit different than your average person. So yeah, I'm really excited to share all that information.
It's going to be really great. I mean, there's so much conversation, I think, around this in particular when it comes to heart health and so many unknowns still. So it'd be really great to get your perspective as a cardiologist, for sure. We've got so many other areas that we're going to be covering, from cancer to neurological health to gut microbiome, epigenetics. I mean, you name it, you're going to be able to watch it here. You can actually check out our agenda on our website, metabolichealthsummit.com, to see everything that's happening. And you can still get tickets. And we're actually going to have all of the presentations on our virtual platform for 2 weeks following the conference. So if you can't join us live, you want to watch on Facebook all the great interviews offered by Diet Doctor, you can do that. And you can also catch us on the virtual platform too. So thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts for partnering with us on this. Thank you for watching and following along. And until the next live, we'll see you guys soon. Thanks so much for joining us.